Time to raise hell. Welcome to I Hope You Suffer.
Simple. It's simple but effective.
It's real bad. This is episode 41 of I Hope You Suffer. My name is Nathan.
I'm Kit.
And this week we watched 2004's Seed of Chucky with our special guest, Vic from Vile Creature. Say hi, Vic.
Hey. Hello. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. This was a pick. Like, Vic had messaged me about doing this movie after we were talking about John Waters. So this is just going to end up being a John Waters cast.
Thank you for being kind to me in my really stoned message to you. Just thinking about John Waters and just be like, I just need to go on this tangent and talk about how much he means to me.
Yeah, same. He was here in like about an hour for me doing some like talking thing in March, and it sold out like well before I knew about it, and I was real bummed.
Guess you're not a real fan if you don't figure out a way to get tickets.
Well, it was like a college thing where I think all of the college students got the option to get tickets first, so it just like was done before like regular people could get in. And I am entirely too old to pretend I'm in college. Unless I'm going to the movie theater and I have my like 15-year-old college ID I still use.
You can pull it off.
I mean, I still look
Beat the shimmy with the skateboard.
What's up, fellow students? But yeah, so Vic has only watched Bride and Seed of Chucky. Doesn't know really any of the backstory of Child's Play, which you really don't need to know other than, like, you know, who Chucky is to watch this movie. What is your experience with this movie, Kit?
With Seed?
Yeah.
Like I said, I remember being super excited for Bride whenever it first came out, because it was the same director as Freddy vs. Jason, which was high school me's favorite thing in the world. And then Seed came out, and I just remember thinking it looked really fucking weird. And again, I saw the poster for it in the theaters where it's just Chucky's eye with sperm as the iris. And I never got to see it up until probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I feel it. I think I watched it for the first time. It was maybe on Netflix. And then I bought like the Blu-ray pack and have watched it a bunch of times since then. And yes. I think it's actually my favorite in the series because it's just extra stupid.
It's Red Man. Red Man helps.
Redman.
Yeah, Redman.
Yeah, Redman.
What did you think of this, Vic?
Well, the John Waters scene was definitely the fucking best. Okay, so going into it, only watching Bride and Seed, it was way worse than Bride. Was it palatable? I guess so. It was entertaining and cringeworthy, so sure, yeah. It would have been nice if there was more killing, and I was not scared at all. Yeah.
I feel like all of the Child's Plays, for the most part, maybe only have like 4 people get killed in any of them. Like, it's not like a Friday the 13th where it's just like, you know, a whole camp. They're all actually kind of lenient when it comes to most slasher movies. But the series ended off, the last movie before the remake is like Chucky's like spirit is in numerous people now. So I'm like real interested to see where it goes with that. But yeah, so this
it's such a ridiculous statement, and I love it.
Everything about the Child's Play movies is pretty ridiculous. This movie was directed and written by Don Mancini, who has been a part of these movies since the beginning. It was the first one that he got to direct, which is probably why it is completely different from all of the rest somehow. It doesn't have the Freddy versus Jason aesthetic from Bride that is, I'm assuming, still 30-year-old Kit's favorite.
Yep. Don't judge me.
I'm not. It stars Brett Dourif as the voice of Chucky from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Dune and Blue Velvet and Critters 4 and Alien Resurrection and Urban Legend and
everything.
Yeah, he does a shit ton of work.
Honestly, he's hotter than his voice.
Yeah, I'll look him up.
Yeah, I looked him up to to put a face to the voice, and like his voice is just like, I can't deal. Just like I would picture the doll sounding like a little bit more hot.
And like the voice, like Mark Hamill does the voice in the remake that just came out, and it's a lot more like
hot.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if hot was ever the word that came into my mind watching it, but it's like more.
The first time he spoke,
more like a real human
doll.
Oh yeah, Kit texted me as soon as he got out of the theater, and he was like, "That was the horniest movie I've ever watched," just from Mark Hamill's voice.
Like, was there a lot of edging, or was there like some payoff? But I wonder, like, what convinced him to do that movie.
Mark Hamill?
You know? Yeah.
I read something recently about why he did it. I just can't remember what it was. I think it had to do actually with the guy that composed it kind of talking him into it. But Mark Hamill also does like a fuck ton of voice work, so I don't know.
They wrote like a little like song that the Chucky doll sings in the movie. I wonder if they're just like, look, we'll give you your own musical number, sing it. He was like, all right, that's pretty tight. I'm in.
I mean, that was kind of along the lines of what I remember reading. Like, I guess he like heard Bear McCready's little like composed thing for it, and he was like, yeah, I'll do this. What the fuck else has he got going on besides Star Wars?
Could I introduce another guest?
Yeah.
Okay. This is KW, my bandmate in Vile Creature. He is a horror fan, and he's listening to this conversation. He wasn't intending to jump in, but I think he has a lot to say, so
yeah, absolutely.
I don't know.
Oh,
what do you have to say to KW?
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Hello.
I avoided watching this movie for a really long time, and then Vic said that they were doing this and that they were going to go in cold, so we watched Bride. I watched Bride when it came out in theaters.
Same.
I avoided Seed of Chucky until now, which honestly felt like an accomplishment. And it makes sense that Seed of Chucky killed this franchise for 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like that whole movie felt like a Jennifer Tilly vanity project. Like it was just like Jennifer and all of the I don't know, all of the like in jokes, and it was meta in a weird way. I just couldn't. It made me so sad, especially when you fast forward to what was it? Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky, the two Netflix directed videos, which are actually great.
Yeah, they're both like real bleak.
Yeah, they're very good. Like they're the only two. Like I'm a big horror fan, but I'm a big Child's Play fan, and like none of those. Like the Child's Play, the original was great. The sequel was fine. The third one was laughable, and then Bride and Seed happened, which I kind of wished I could forget. And then like Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky are like two phenomenal movies, and it just makes me so sad that this movie like opened with a bunch of sperm swimming and like the kid, and then the puppet's name is
Piss pants.
no shit
Shit
face.
face.
But they piss their pants, but
Yeah.
they're called shit face.
Yeah, why wouldn't it be called piss pants? It's very accurate. And then they like almost get into being like
They're non-binary, but there's also they did it in a weird way where they're just like, is this doll just like mentally unhinged? But because they're non-binary, what's going on here?
Yeah, I would be real curious as to what this movie would be like if it was made now as opposed to like 2004.
Yeah,
there's like a lot of gender confusion issues that
there was a lot of gender confusion, and as a gender, I don't know if I'm a gender confused person, but I'm non-binary, but I'm just like, this is portrayed very weird.
there was
So
almost
weird.
there was almost like a conversation where like they're standing there and they're like, you decide, like a Chucky is standing there with Jennifer, right? No,
Tiffany.
Thank you, sorry. Jennifer and Tiffany, or Jesus Christ. Tiffany and Chucky are standing there and they're like, you decide what gender you are. And then Glenn has like a 15-second monologue that's almost like really progressive for 2002.
Yeah.
Four?
Yeah, 2004.
Really? It took him 6 years after Bride of Chucky to make that?
Maybe? I don't know.
Wow.
Like, IMDb just has it as 2004.
Interesting, yeah, because I know, what's it called? Bride of Chucky was 98, which to be honest, if we go back to Bride of Chucky, it feels like 1998 in that movie.
I don't think Bride of Chucky did very well. And so, like, it would make sense that it took a while to get to a sequel.
Yeah. But yeah, there was like 13 seconds of Glenn having that monologue where he's like, sometimes I'm a boy, and sometimes I feel like a girl, and I think that's okay. And I was like, hey, look at that. And then it just becomes the like, okay, so the girl's psychotic and the guy's fine. And I'm like, okay, that's a special way to treat that.
For sure. I was more upset about the slut shaming and the weird Japanese, like the way that they like handled them being Japanese and just like throwing in all
The
those
subplot of Made in Japan.
Yeah, that
Yes.
made me feel like, oh god, no.
Which is real weird because, like, I mean, in this movie, it's obviously not the original Chucky doll body, but like, there's no point ever that like the dolls are made in Japan in the previous movies. They're all like made in some, U.S. factory. So this is the first time you get like anything with like Japan in it.
It's a good little retcon, right?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched Bride in a while. I can't remember like if Chucky gets blown up or something at the end of it. I'm sure it's something stupid like that. But like,
Shot and buried.
Is that what it is? I couldn't remember.
Katherine
why.
Heigl shoots the shit out of him.
Yeah, Katherine Heigl fucks him up, and then he ends up dying on his serial killer corpse.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what happened with his body that they wouldn't have had it like come back like they usually do. But yeah, that's the first time you ever get anything, and the only time you ever get anything about like Japan in any of the movies.
There's a lot of questions I have. I mean, it's a movie. You have suspended belief, and you have to trust the imagination of this movie. But like, I think the biggest thing, my biggest question is like, how could dolls procreate? How?
It's all voodoo, basically.
There's the image of Chucky standing there with a cup full of semen that is just gonna haunt me forever.
Well, I was wondering, just to take it back to Vic's obsession with John Waters, like in my head, and I'm just gonna make this fact, is that they approached John Waters about doing this movie for sure. And we're like, listen, we're gonna have a scene where you have your mustache, and you're gonna be in the bush, and you're gonna be taking pictures, really creepy pictures of this person having sex, and you're gonna look up, and you're gonna be taking pictures of a puppet masturbating, and you're gonna be really into it. And like, they definitely sold him on the film.
He's
just
like,
on that pitch, right?
I'm there.
Well, apparently he was like pretty vocal about being a fan of the Child's Play series, and so I guess like Don Mancini had read something, like an interview with him talking about it, and was like, come be in the movie, and he was like, done, I'm there.
Do you think Don Mancini saw like saw Wes Craven's New Nightmare and was like, you know what, I can do this better.
And make it a straight up comedy.
Yeah, I can do better than Wes Craven. So let's make it I don't know, instead of like Freddy haunting the actors from the original film, let's just have Jennifer Tilly play herself and we'll go from there, right, Redman?
Redman. It's weird too, because if you it's kind of an anomaly of a movie for that time, because everything else coming out around that time was like the I Know What You Did Last Summer series was like coming to an end, and more like quote unquote serious slashers, like ones that didn't really have much comedy going on.
Like kind of Final Destination stuff.
Yeah, like stuff like that would have like, like they all will have like a joke or two sprinkled throughout. But,
oh yeah.
Like, this one's just essentially like a straight up comedy where like a couple people get murdered.
Yeah, I'm into that. Especially when, well, it's confusing to be like, how is this happening? Why are the dolls able to do this? What is the science behind them procreating? But it's definitely worth it based on the whole sexual deviant paparazzi scumbag scene with John Waters where he's being like a voyeur, and it's just absolutely perfect. That I think the comedy of the movie is kind of perfectly summed up with that scene, and I appreciate it for that.
Yeah, I think John Waters was the perfect person to play that role. Just for that
He
scene
got-
of him being like, oh, little people. Like, just being like super into it.
He got easily the best death in the film too, with some of the coolest practical effects I think I've ever seen for a half melted head.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I really enjoyed I will say, like, there were two deaths that I like appreciated. The flamethrower over the stairs death. That came out of nowhere for me, which I really enjoyed. I wasn't expecting like a full-on flamethrower in the bedroom, so that was really nice.
Yeah, for the lady from S Club 7.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so like she is somebody from S Club 7. I just don't remember.
That's
what her name
amazing.
is.
It's gonna be S Club 6 now.
Yeah.
I love it. There ain't no
That's-
party like a child's play party.
Man, 2004 was a weird year for horror movies. I'm just looking at it now. Other than Seed of Chucky, like the biggest ones of the year was the Dawn of the Dead remake. You've got Saw, Shaun of the Dead came out, The Grudge came out in 04. But then everything else is like Ginger Snaps 2, Shudder, and the sequel to Anacondas, which was great.
Oh, I still haven't seen that. That's one we're gonna do on here at some point for sure.
We have to.
So like even just like looking at that list, minus like Shaun of the Dead, those are all pretty serious movies.
I mean, Saw is a pure comedy, obviously.
I mean, yeah, but tell that to people that are obsessed with that franchise.
I don't ever want to talk to someone who's obsessed with that franchise. They're going to do no good in the world.
Yeah, pretty much. As somebody that owns all of them for some reason, that is correct.
That is, I'm so sorry, and I am going to exit this conversation now.
I had found them all used for like $7 total at like a week that I was extremely sick, and I was like, I can't leave the bed. I'm just gonna binge all these movies.
Did
And
it
I still
make
own
you
them.
feel sicker?
It just made me feel kind of nothing. Like,
So you desensitize yourself to human suffering. So you're just like a serial killer in training, basically.
working on it. It was mostly like, I was like, I wonder what all the dumb twists are in these movies. And I was like, I got $7 to just waste. And they are, minus like the first maybe two, they are all straight up garbage. Because once you just like once you get into anything past two, you're just like, all right, I know there's a twist. I know there's going to be like more than one twist now. And it's just pretty much watching solely for that.
Do you like seeing how like all the trap scenes are set up and how like
That's the thing, is I would be more into it if it actually had more of the like science behind how these traps work, as opposed to just people stumbling into traps.
There's like a how it's made behind the scenes of each movie of how the traps work.
I would, yeah, I'd watch that, but like even like I just want a movie where it's just Jigsaw, like
Putting it all together.
just one trap for an hour and a half, just quietly trying to set up a trap. All right, did KW leave?
He's here.
I'm sitting right here.
I didn't know if they actually left.
No, I'm here.
So yeah, as it was mentioned, this movie also stars Jennifer Tilly playing dual roles as herself and Tiffany. Billy Boyd from the Lord of the Rings movies as Glenn/Glenda/ Shitface. Redman as Redman. John Waters as Pete Peters, and then for our Seinfeld connection was Debbie Lee Carrington. We have a podcast long running joke about the first movie we did has a character from Seinfeld, and now we find a Seinfeld connection in any movie we can.
I'm looking her up right now.
She's in like a deleted scene. It's like the only one of this like fucking movie.
Really grasping at straws there.
Yeah, I mean, periodically we get movies that are just like straight up like Sci-Fi Channel original garbage that has like a 0. So
Yeah, that's my bad.
but every 3 or 4 movies, Kit picks one, and it's just absolute nonsense.
I get banned from picking the movies after that.
And then good.
What's the best trivia you have from this movie?
From this movie, I want to say that another kind of podcast long running joke is that somebody on most of the movies on IMDb is listing all of the car models in all of the movies. And so this one has that as well, so you can find out what limousine Jennifer Tilly is riding in, and like what is the model of like the Humvee that fucking Redman's driving. All of the other, I can't remember what all the other trivia was I read on this. What do you got, or do you have one?
I think I was just really interested.
Oh, there's like some stuff on IMDb, but a lot of it was kind of just like this character was, or this actor was brought in because like this actor like dropped off, or just kind of just nonsense like that. None of it was anything I felt like super fun.
Yeah, the only it's not really trivia, but the thing I love passionately, like all of my favorite horror movies are like the 6th and 7th sequels to the original movie. Like I'm pretty sure my second tattoo was a tattoo from Halloween 6.
That's the Paul Rudd one, right? Or is that
Yes,
5?
it is Paul Rudd's first film. Yes. Yeah, it's the cult of Mike Myers one, because every one of these things goes into a cult of something at some point.
Oh yeah, and like Halloween is the only one so far that hasn't gone to space.
Halloween is the only one that hasn't gone to space, but I think that they have thought about it at some point.
They absolutely should.
Quick tangent, I'm very excited for the sequel to the new Halloween.
Yeah, I liked the new Halloween a lot.
Except for the last 30 seconds.
I saw like a lot of people that were like angry that they were just like, this is like a fucking like oh shit, that director just like fell out of my head. What's his name? Who did shit, now I can't think of the movie. I woke up like 45 minutes ago. I'm still does like all the Seth Rogen movies.
Evan Goldberg?
No, he did like 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Judd Apatow.
Judd Apatow. I saw a bunch of people like, this is like a Judd Apatow movie as a horror movie, and I was like, what?
I like the Halloween movie. I loved that remake every second of it until literally the last 30 seconds. And spoiler alert for anyone who's listening, it's a bunch of build up until he's caught in a basement and then is set on fire. Who cares?
I liked the idea of the trap basement. The fire, like, I don't know how they're going to write themselves out of that, but...
Also, why would you set your whole house on fire?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's just Jamie Lee or Laurie Strode just try. I felt like it was an idea that they were going for, like, this is closure, she's getting rid of, like, everything, but I don't think it necessarily works like that.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to bring this full circle of the start of this conversation is that my favorite little like nuggets from all of these sequels is when they make small in references to the old ones, like when Tiffany makes the phone call when she's on the amends step of the 12-step program, and she calls the wife of the cop whose throat she slits in Bride of Chucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, like when I saw it, I was like, "That's cute. I like that moment."
Yeah.
Honestly, I really like Bride based on all the cops getting killed.
Fair.
I think my favorite scene in Bride is the dude that's like arguing with them on the side of the road that just gets smashed by a fucking car.
Oh, what was your reaction? You're like, no, frosted tips.
Yeah, I was really frosted tips side. Well, he got pancaked by that truck.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was in any of like the teen like horror movies within that time, because he was kind of like the perfect
He had the hair for it.
frosted tip.
I can't remember who that actor is, like offhand. Because like really a lot of what I remember from that movie is John Ritter being in it.
Yeah, well, that's the big moment from that film, right? Is that picture of John Ritter with all the nails in his face, and he gets 2 death scenes. They really milked those 3 days that he was on set for sure.
I just like watching him just play like a dick, because usually he didn't really do that. So it's kind of fun watching him get to just be like a dick in a movie.
He did a good job being a convincing asshole. Okay, there was a thing that I just read that is a little goof from the movie where, so when there's that scene where Britney Spears is driving on the road and Chucky runs her off, Britney's single "Oops, I Did It Again" was released mainstream in 2000, and given the hiatus of 6 years between the prequel and the movie, Bride of Chucky 1999 and this in 2004, there is therefore no way Chucky would have known the song, let alone the lyrics, as he was not alive in 2000, only resurrected in 2004.
Got you.
Suck it!
One of the best things about that entire sequel is that when the ad campaign for this movie was running, they had to put a note at the bottom of the screen that it's not actually Britney Spears, because her management thought that people were going to be concerned that she was doing that movie.
I'm a huge idiot, and they totally got me for like 2 minutes when I watched it this morning. I was like, that really fucking looks like Britney Spears. Was she in this movie? Did they pay her to be in it for 4 seconds?
Her IMDb is like 3 or 4 credits, and every single one of them is a Britney Spears lookalike.
Oh, she gets credits? I guess they have to pay her.
Yeah, like she's done a couple things that were.
She got her SAG card for sure.
Yeah, all were just as Britney Spears lookalike.
Oh my God. There's a drag queen that I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people who do Britney drag, but yeah, it's a good career.
Oh yeah, I'm sure, especially at that time. Maybe.
Also,
no, go ahead.
Whose dog is that? I love
that.
them.
Would be my dog and my bird screaming at something.
Are they together? Like, is the bird on top of the dog's head? Are they screaming? Because that would be great.
I hope not.
Something's gone terribly wrong, so.
It would be awesome.
Okay,
like
you want to know what?
My dog is straight up afraid of my bird, so that's absolutely not happening.
As they should be.
Yeah.
And also, just so you know, Frosted Tips, his name is Gordon Michael Wolvet, and he is from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, where I currently rest my butt on my couch.
Do you think he lives here still?
I mean, I'm assuming so.
Is his entire career is like Frosted Tip douchebag in movies?
Yeah, probably. I mean, his like last movie, he had a movie credit in 2014, and then before that was 2006, and before that was 2000. So
yeah.
my assumption is he was in Andromeda.
Oh, really?
He was on the TV show Andromeda for 5 years.
That's interesting.
Was he in that show with Ryan Gosling called Breaker High?
That's a very specific reference. I have no idea how to.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so. No. Let me rack my brain. Hold on a second.
You're on the internet right now looking at his filmography.
You're the internet.
Okay, you know what also is something tiny that drove me up the wall during this movie, Seed of Chucky? There's a scene where Jennifer Tilly and Tiffany and her manager are on the phone with each other, and Jennifer Tilly is trying to tell her manager that she's in trouble. And then Tiffany pretends to be Jennifer because she has the same voice. And then Tiffany hangs up, but the line goes dead, even though they're both on this phone at the same time. And I'm like, no, that's not how phones work. Y'all need to get landlines right. It's just not driving me nuts.
I just like that scene for the fact that, like, 3 of them will be talking at the same time, and they all still think it's only 2 people.
Yeah, I like that gag.
I feel like this entire like plot point of Jennifer Tilly being like the real person in this movie was written solely for like the scene where Tiffany is just like, oh, she's got such a beautiful voice.
Yeah, I mean, that is Jennifer Tilly's basic. Like, that's been her whole career, has been that voice.
I mean, like, for the most part, like, Jennifer Tilly has, like, a pretty good sense of humor to, like, be doing this movie with some of the stuff that's kind of written about her in it.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I am sad that she was slut-shamed by her own
like
self.
Yeah, I mean, they make like jokes about her being overweight and all kinds of shit in it. I mean, I don't know. She's got a pretty good sense of humor to even be a part of it, and
yeah, I'm sure they pitched her saying like, you're gonna play a Hollywoodized version of yourself, and she's like, okay.
I'm like real intrigued to see where Don Mancini's like television series is gonna go, because one of the last things I read is that it'll be not all like a linear series, so it's not like some episodes will be kind of what happens after Cult of Chucky, and then some episodes will just be like the adventures of like Chucky and Tiffany, like past kind of just stuff that you never saw.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I like I mean, sorry, that was none of those were actual words. I'm very excited to see what they do with the TV series. I just hope that it doesn't get the Purge TV series treatment where they want it to be edgy and can do some really cool things, but everything has to be dumbed down. That would make me really sad, because the Purge TV show was good except for the fact that there's zero violence in it.
Really?
Yeah, it's so like muted for television, basically.
I've only seen like the first Purge movie, but I've heard they get really good after that.
Oh yeah, the first Purge movie is I feel like, to me, and this is just to me, the first Purge movie is like a proof of concept. So where they're saying like it's establishing, because the first Purge movie is just a house invasion movie, and who gives a fuck about what's happening in the house? You want to know everything that's happening outside, because they're establishing this world where, like, what do you mean all laws are off for 12 hours? What are you talking about? You can do anything anywhere, and we're stuck in this house with this boring ass vanilla family. Let's go elsewhere. And then the rest of the Purge movies are everything else that you want to see. They're great.
So, is the TV show like following one specific set of characters?
No, so it's got a large, it's a wide net. It's probably like 4 different storylines that will all converge into one on one specific Purge night.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just the story of that Purge night. So they got renewed for a season 2. I'm intrigued to see if they're going to follow the same characters or if they're just going to do a completely different part of the country, a completely different Purge.
Yeah. It's kind of the same idea as Fear and the Walking Dead, but better.
Gotcha. I feel like the Purge would be like a good way to do like a somewhat canonized like Tales from the Crypt type thing, like an anthology, like, you know, just like in that Purge universe, but like a different thing each week.
Yep. Yeah, that would be awesome. It's not what it is. It's definitely a linear storyline. So as long as for me, as every season is an anthology on its own based on Purge Night, I would be really stoked. But we'll see. I mean, it's the credit where credit's due when it comes to the Purge. Just like Don Mancini's been involved in basically everything Child's Play. I forget the name of the guy, but he's written everything that has to do with the Purge. It's never left his hands.
Oh, gotcha.
So it's his baby start to finish.
I need to catch up on those. I've heard nothing but good things, but I just wanted to I've just never gotten around to it.
I wonder if the Chucky TV show will be anthology series. And Nathan, you mentioned that they're exploring the idea that what's his name? Charles Ray?
Lee Ray.
Yeah, like his soul is in all these different other things. So it's like an anthology series of like around the world of like all these things have been possessed by his soul and they're all murderous.
So like one of my favorite things about Curse and Cult is that Brad Dourif's daughter plays like the main protagonist in it, and is who Charles Lee Ray's soul, one of like parts, like, you know, like I think the main Chucky doll or whatever like ends up in her body. So it's like this weird kind of like her usurping the role from him. And so like now his daughter is essentially playing Chucky going forward. And I'm like really kind of interested to see where that goes, because at the end of it, it's like Tiffany's in it. Jennifer Tilly as Tiffany is in it. So you have Jennifer Tilly and Tiffany and Jennifer Tilly's body. The Tiffany doll's in it, I think, is like a little girl from earlier in the movie. And then Chucky in I can't think of the character's name, but Brad Dourif's daughter. And then like they're just going like
I think
out
it's
into
Anna.
the world. And is it Anna? It doesn't, I guess, really matter.
Let's just go with it. Who cares?
But there's just like this weird, like the three of them going off to just like out into the world to just cause more mischief. And then the TV series is supposed to kind of take off of that, but then also have these weird kind of like backstories that take place in between some of the movies. And it'll be interesting.
As an outside perspective of like just watching two of the movies in the franchise, I'm just like, how did this get made? Don't sue me. Yeah, like, is there actually a fan base? Do people want this?
Yeah,
Is it
like, so the remake just came out, and there was like a huge deal about Don Mancini was in the process of doing this TV show as like the remake was announced, and I guess they had got in contact with him to be like, hey, like, you know, do you want like an executive producer credit on this? You're already going to get, you know, creator of the characters credit or whatever. And he was like, no, go fuck yourself. You knew I was doing this TV show. This is fucked up. And
Yeah,
there was
a
like
lot
a
of
huge
bad blood and drama.
a huge deal within kind of just whatever general horror community about like, no, we're going to support Don. Like, we want this. We don't want a new one. We're all going to go see the new one anyway, because everybody still went and saw it. And like there was just this big like split amongst people until the trailer came out. Like once the trailer for the new one came out, everybody was like, oh, I'm going to go see this. This looks pretty good.
Guilty.
Yeah, I still
Same.
haven't seen the new one. I'm waiting. I really want to. I have a friend who I watch all the Child's Play movies with, so we're finding a date that we can do it because they live in a different town.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to seeing it. Yeah, that trailer looked great. I just want as much content from all these horror things that I love.
Yeah, same.
Again, I love sequels.
Like Kit and I both went and saw it, and without like spoiling it, like Kit loved it.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. Like they basically eschew the, you know, original idea of a reincarnated killer, and from that point forward, I didn't find myself like comparing, contrasting with the original at all, which is a big problem I have with remakes. Is I find myself constantly like, oh, so they changed this or this or this. I just didn't think about it once during the rest of the film and just had a really good time.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a 31-year-old movie, right? They got to change a lot of stuff. I'm down to give.
Yeah.
I'm down to give everybody a chance when it comes to these movies. I will watch it and go. Like I mean, I love just talking about 2004, right? Like that remake of Dawn of the Dead, I thought was great.
Oof,
Yeah.
We're gonna fight.
We don't have to
When you're
hear.
no,
It's very
I'm
much
just
okay
kidding.
having our own opinions,
It's-
even if yours is wrong.
Yeah, it's totally like I get yelled at about it all the time, but it's like Dawn of the Dead is my favorite movie of all time.
The remake, yeah, that's cool.
No, the good one. And it's just like I don't know, like I couldn't get. I have a huge issue with fast zombies to begin with, so that like alone, I was kind of like ugh. And then I don't know, minus the dude from Modern Family that just plays like the real shitheel dude in the movie. I just
it's
was
so good.
not super into it.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
It's-
that. Are there other really good things that you also dislike?
Yeah, life.
Fair. That's a good endpoint to that
Yeah.
conversation.
I've been saying I'm going to give it a rewatch because I haven't watched it since it came out, but I did not like it when I first watched it.
Well, I mean, you were probably a little brat back then who was like, "Hey, it can't be as good as the original.
Well, that's
the
the thing, is
original's
it's
my
like-
favorite."
It's not even that.
But if
'cause
you
it's like,
separate it, if you separate it and think of it as it's like fucking reading Harry Potter and then watching the Harry Potter movies. Just consider it something new and different with the same inspiration, and it's good on its own merit.
well, that's like the only, I would say, like remake that I've watched that I didn't I actively kind of disliked. Like I love the Evil Dead remake. I liked the Friday the 13th remake.
That movie was great.
I haven't seen Nightmare on Elm Street because I don't know. I assume
There's
it's-
enough pedophiles in real life. I don't
Yeah.
need to watch that movie again.
Like I'm usually like I'm not that like oh like the purity like person. It just I don't know, something about that movie just I did not sit with me. This like the Child's Play remake though, like Kit said, like it's I think I gave it like a 7 out of 10. Like I loved it. I definitely had points where I kind of bumped up with like missing Brad Dourif's voice a little bit. Or not necessarily the voice as much as like
That sexy voice.
yeah.
I just-
More like
laugh.
Chucky has that like a character to it, you know? And like
Yeah,
in
like
the
this
new one, it's like a
sexist
robot.
murderer.
Well, but like I don't know, like I really like the premise of the new one a lot. I just kind of bumped up a couple times with just being like, oh, I want this to be more of a character than a robot.
Maybe you should write some fan fiction.
I'm gonna write some slash fiction.
I
about
think
that
this is
sexy
like
voice.
honestly, there's like some like Christian out there who like saw this movie and wanted to like tear it apart and like protest it because there's like an evil fetus.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, I feel like around 2004, kind of all that shit's tended to, or at least real publicly, stop. I
What?
can't remember the last, I can't remember the last, like, horror movie that got, like, a big kind of, like, protest treatment, I guess.
Just based on like evil
Yeah,
like portrayal.
yeah, kind of like that.
Well, not none that I can think of for a very
Yeah.
long time.
I'm sure there's probably people that every one of them that comes out, like, is just on Twitter or Facebook railing against them, but... This movie
Yeah,
is
just-
promoting dolls jerking off.
Yeah, how dare they? I think my thought about just like Christians being upset about it is when like the sperm, like because Christians like they worship sperm. They think that procreation is so sacred and that conception, life begins at conception. So you think that they would advocate for it maybe because they're just like, well, every sperm is special, and so therefore seed of Chucky is. For the listeners out there, Nathan just put his video on and it looked like he had a tampon up his nose.
I have a pin in my nose ring.
All right, yeah. Christians get upset about everything, but I guess they're over the horror movie thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, what are you really gonna do about it? Like, they're still gonna come out. You're not gonna stop anything.
Change that order petition.
Yeah.
I would rather have them doing that because it seems to be more futile for them to go against like entertainment instead of like
Actual
terrorizing
rights.
people. Yeah, like terrorizing people on the streets in like towns and like scaring teens into like being abstinent or just like um giving them misinformation, pretending that they're actually like pregnancy crisis centers, and like bullying them and terrifying them, thinking that the people are gonna um, that they're gonna die from abortions and whatnot. But yeah, I would just love if Christians could go back to picketing horror movies.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
Just go back to Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, please, 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 just like focus on that. I think it's better. Waste your time on that, please.
Yeah. So Vic, have you watched Serial Mom yet?
I haven't.
Oh, I need you to watch Serial Mom. That's like
How gory is it? Would it fall into the category of horror?
no. It's like if John Waters made a horror movie essentially. Like that's what it is, but like it's not gory really at all.
Hmm.
It's just
So
fun.
like, have you read anything of him like being super into um just like campy gore?
Yeah. Like he's in Blood Feast 2, I believe. Because he was like super into the original Blood Feast, so he got invited to be on 2. Like I know he's like real into campy and kind of like cult horror movies.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That
I think you will love Serial Mom.
I mean, I was looking at his like filmography and it wasn't like very extensive. So I feel like people who'd be interested in checking out his stuff or they're not familiar with like all his work. Like I haven't watched every single one of his things. So I think I'm gonna do that one of these days.
Yeah, I'd like to go ahead, whoever is getting ready to talk. Oh, was that just me?
No, you're good.
Like, there's maybe 2 at the very beginning of his career I haven't seen. I've seen, I think, everything else, and I'll back all of them. I think they're all good. And they're all pretty different. Like, John Waters has got like a kind of, got that like general kind of quote unquote like trash label to his career, but like, you know, Crybaby is wildly different than like Hairspray, which is different from A Dirty Shame, which is different from Pecker, and I like all of them. I think they're all good. There's a Criterion Collection release of Polyester that's coming out that I need.
Oh yeah. I mean, when did he start getting like actual recognized for his like his auteurism instead of just like being seen as like a fucking weirdo who is like into um just like trash.
I probably Hairspray. I feel like Hairspray is the first one that he got kind of like a more mainstream notability to his name. Because I think Hairspray did like really well. It's like probably like the one movie he has that did like really well box office wise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Well, yeah,
the
like
least
looking
trash
at
of all of them.
for sure, like looking at the early 70s, like when Pink Flamingos came out, like obviously that time people were not as willing to um explore just like comedy, like making fun of just like sexuality and just like Christianity and like making fun of eating babies. And I feel like that kind of humor was probably like looked down upon in the 70s. And it took a long time until like 1988, Hairspray was like taken seriously, where they're like, okay, I guess we could actually show this guy some respect because he's been around doing this thing and it's like culty, but Hairspray is like actually for the family and it's respectable. So I feel like I love John Waters so much because he's never been about respectability. He's always like been on the fringes of that. So I think that like I don't even look at Hairspray as like something that sums up his career. As I just like the weirder the better in my mind. So I think everyone who likes him like celebrates that aspect of him. That's cool.
Yeah. I feel like if I was gonna point anybody towards like a first John Waters movie, maybe Cecil B. Demented because it's just crazy. Maybe
that's a good one.
Maybe Serial Mom. Serial Mom, I would say for people that like listen to this podcast because it's got like more of a horror movie feel. But I think Cecil B. Demented's my favorite.
Yeah, it's like a film student's like wet dream.
Yeah.
I would probably recommend Crybaby.
Yeah, Crybaby
for someone's first introduction to John Waters, because it's fun and it has that like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I know.
Rebellious yet cute musical nature about it.
Yeah, I feel like that's because I think that was like the follow up to Hairspray, so it's kind of like coming off that like mainstream success and going back into like what John Waters kind of does. Crybaby's really good. I need to rewatch that.
Mm-hmm. A Dirty Shame is definitely my favorite, but like I said, I haven't watched all his stuff, so
I feel like a Dirty Shame is like criminally underlooked. That movie rules.
I think it's just because the characters are absolutely like disgusting looking. It's funny because Selma Blair plays like the most ridiculous person, and like as an actress, I think of her as like someone totally different. So I honestly like her. I never really liked her, and then I saw her in that movie, and I'm like, all right, yeah, she's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, watch A Dirty Shame. That's a movie that I don't think enough people talk about.
Yeah, I'm just into anything that like makes fun of puritanical shit and like just like sex criminals. Oh, so great.
So KW, like what are some of like your favorite horror movies?
The Dawn of the Dead remake.
I knew that was coming.
Is it?
No, it's not. I'm just poking fun. My favorite horror movies, the whole Halloween series, like the original one, like from realistically, like Halloween 2, 4, 5, 6, I like love passionately and will rewatch forever. The Purge sequels, I think, are phenomenal. Yeah, Purge 2, 3, and 4 are really, really great. Trying to think off the top of my head. I'm a big slasher guy. Like, I really like just stereotypical slasher movies, like person in mask with weapon. I really like Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon's one of my favorites of all time.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
Movie's phenomenal, and it's so unfortunate that they're never able to raise the money to make the sequel. Behind the Mask, I thought Cabin in the Woods was great. That whole like mid 2000s like slasher revival that was like what was it? Hatchet, Behind the Mask, Cabin in the Woods, that little era, I loved it so much.
Yeah, same. Those Hatchet movies are great.
Oh yeah, all of them are great. The new one was awesome. It's totally my like. Victor Crowley is just perfect for me. And when we were on tour last year, we actually drove through Honey Island Swamp and stopped, and it was awesome.
Got freaked out a little bit.
Got a tiny bit freaked out because we were like driving around. We were on the highway. We saw Honey Island Swamp. I looked at Vic, and Vic was like, "We can stop." So we pulled off and started driving around a bit, and we ended up going down a 1-lane dirt road with only one house on it, and it was a dead end.
Oh fuck.
and I was not comfortable with our situation at that point. We survived, but yeah, Hatchet. That whole series is beautiful. Sleepaway Camp. The only series that I just like the first one.
Oh, Sleepaway
Is
Camp.
yeah, I want nothing to do with the Springsteen ones. And the Scream series, like all 4 Scream movies, I thought were great.
Yeah, I like the Scream series a lot.
Yeah, I never got into like ghost horror. I never got into really house invasion horror. I'm a bit again just like slasher movies is where my head has always been, and still to this day my favorite genre of movie.
Yeah, I'd say same. I don't like. I've watched a bunch of the Ghost ones, and none of them have ever really done anything for me. It's usually just like, oh, this is on Netflix. I guess I'll watch it.
Yeah. I'll watch anything sci-fi based. So I actually finally got around to watching the Alien franchise a couple of years ago, and I'm not sure why it took me so long because it's like my thing. But I think I watched the sequels, like the Prometheus,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the movie before I actually watched Alien, and so yeah, I'll watch anything that's like space horror.
Same.
Do you have any favorites in that genre?
I mean, Kit and I joke a lot about like when a lot of these like stupid horror movies go into space. Like Jason X is real stupid, but I love it. Like Leprechaun in Space is extremely stupid, and I love it.
Masterpiece.
I can't think of the last like serious like kind of space horror movie I watched.
I'm really excited for your side podcast where you only do horror movies that ended up in space.
Oh, we're working. We're going to get through all of them on this one.
It'd be super. Would it be niche? Is there that many?
Yeah, firstly, yes, there are that many. Secondly, yes, it would also be that many.
What about Sharknado in space?
That's already happened.
Yeah.
Has it? What?
The fact that I know that so quickly
Oh
off
my
the top of
God.
my head makes me really question my choices in life.
Oh, God.
It was the
I was
last
joking.
one. It was the last one or the one before it. Yeah,
It was Sharknado 4.
that happened.
Again, why do I know this?
Because okay, I think your favorite genre is actually shark horror films because you were
Big
so
same.
happy to see the Meg. You were
I
so happy. You loved it.
I was really stoked. Love me some fucking sharks.
So when we first started
Yes.
doing this podcast and we were making like a list of movies we wanted to do, almost all of our list was shark movies to the point that we had
Yeah.
to be like, okay, like at minimum maybe one a month.
Like,
This is not a shark podcast.
And
we need to put in some alligators.
Like- I literally text Kit yesterday because we're both gonna have like vacations going on in July. We're like, we need to do like, you know, some movies. So I was like, we haven't done a shark movie in a while. What do you want to do next? And he sent me a
I've never
list.
felt more in my element than looking through Amazon Prime for terrible shark movies.
So the next movie we're actually doing is called Post-Apocalyptic Commando Sharks,
Yeah.
which looks like straight garbage.
Wait, is it because they are not wearing underwear?
I don't know. I didn't look up anything else into it. I hope so.
In
now.
what fucking world does a shark not have a pair of tighty whities on?
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds more likely than being in the army.
Like we've done.
Yeah, that's fair.
We did what? Ice Sharks on here. We did.
That movie sucked.
Did you
So
hit
dis-
up Jaws 3 or 4?
No, like we try to avoid like the bigger name stuff. Like I feel like the biggest movie we've done has been Jason X, and everything else has just been kind of like either like less appreciated stuff or kind of just absolute bottom of the bin Amazon Prime nonsense.
Y'all are really angling for that Amazon Prime sponsorship, eh?
No, I want a fucking Shudder sponsorship.
Did you listen to the Shudder horror podcast, Video Palace?
I did. It is great.
It is so goddamn good.
Yeah, it's I believe they're supposed to be working on like a sequel, but I think it's been a couple years. I don't know if that got like.
No, it was last year. It came out the end of last year. There'll be a new one in October this year.
Oh, is it still happening? Nice.
Yeah, it's just season 2.
I feel like I thought like I like on iTunes I thought it was labeled as like 2016 or something. So I was like, oh, it's been a while. I wonder if this is still happening. Yeah, I can't wait for that. That podcast is great.
Have y'all done anything with Trauma?
No, I'm trying to get to that. We've just had a couple months of just like Kit's out of town, and then like I'm out of town, and it's just been kind of like what we can grab quickly for the last little bit. I really want to do Poltergeist.
I'm just looking at that right now because it reminded me just like I had a roommate who we watched a lot of movies together, and he got me into like some weird B movie horror stuff and like was obsessed with trauma, and I'm like, oh, okay, like this is ridiculous and I can appreciate it.
Yeah, I used to have like a 130 something DVD trauma collection that I had to sell for bills, and it's still like the biggest regret.
Oh no.
I love trauma.
Did you say 130?
Mm-hmm.
So that bill must have been like $129, eh?
But what I got from it was probably like $60. Yeah, I've been like trying to slowly get a lot of them back, but I'm working on probably around August when we're both kind of settled for a little bit, diving into some trauma stuff on here.
Sweet.
Because there is.
I'll definitely listen to those because I will like. I honestly haven't watched many of them, but maybe I'll go down that road again too.
Yeah, there's a lot of really, really bad stuff Trauma put out, but there's some pretty great shit. Like I want to do Killer Condom on here just to make Kit watch it.
God,
I'm looking at some of the names right now.
Yeah,
ferocious female freedom fighters.
There's like one
hectic knife,
like humongous. Fuck, what is it? There's like another one that's like that. That's like all H's in the title. There's like
6 sock monsters from outer space.
Oh, I'm in.
Surf Nazis must die.
Surf Nazis must die is great.
Yeti, a love story.
There's Trauma's pretty fucking prime for this podcast. I don't know why we haven't done anything yet, but
You'll be our side podcast.
Yeah.
The space one and then the Trauma one.
We would fucking never run out of space. Now I'm just like thinking about that.
I'll take my executive producer credit. Thank you.
We'll have that. We'll have our shark one. Have you? Kate,
I'm in on the shark one.
Have you seen Bait?
Yeah.
Bait 3D or whatever. That was like I think the second movie we did on this podcast, and I fucking love that movie. It's mostly for like the ridiculous, like store-made, homemade, whatever shark suit.
Is it Megalodon 4, the one that has the Sea-Doo scene?
Shark Attack 3.
Shark Attack 3 Megalodon.
Yep.
Have you done that movie?
No.
We have not. I suggested it in my list last night.
Okay, because you know that movie has the single greatest line in the history of movie.
Oh, yes.
What is it?
Does everybody here know which line I'm talking about?
I have not seen it.
In space, no one could hear you scream.
I'll say it out loud. I am not scared.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hit him with it, KW.
To set it up, in this movie, Shark Attack 3, Megalodon, these two lovely leading characters have just finished a date. They close the door of the pickup truck. He's standing outside. She goes, man, that was nice, but I'm tired. And the man looks at her and goes, yeah, me too. But I'm also kind of wired. How about I take you home and eat your pussy? And then immediately cuts to a scene of them making out in the shower.
Nice.
Think about it. Somebody wrote that at midnight. Somebody was like ferociously typing on their laptop being like, I need this love story to come out and be so good. And he's just like tap, tap, tap. And he's like, how am I going to get them from the end of the date into a makeout scene? Because I know this guy's got to make out with her. Oh, man, he's going to definitely go down her. Why don't I just have him say it? What's a pickup line I would use as a writer? How about, yeah, I'm tired. No, I'm kind of wired, too. How about I pause, take you home and eat your pussy? That's a perfect line that deserves to be on film and remembered forever.
Oh,
Did they die?
No, but the guy who was dressed up like the Penguin died because he drove a Sea-Doo into the mouth of a Megalodon.
He's a hero that deserves to be remembered.
It's not the that movie makes me angry and excited together.
It's cinematic comfort food for me. I watched that and Jaws 4 back to back.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no, Michael Caine.
Jaws 4 is rough.
Jaws 4
Oh,
Jaws 4 is a movie that's so bad it's bad.
Yeah. Like I'll back Jaws 3. I cannot. Jaws 4 is just borderline unwatchable.
My favorite thing about Jaws 4 is whenever anyone asks Michael Caine about it, and they ask if he's seen it, he's like, well, I've never seen it, but I've seen the house that it bought, and it's pretty nice.
It's a really good line. Also, the fact that he would refuse to go in the water on set's pretty wonderful.
Yes.
Oh, that movie. Okay, so that movie's so fucking bad. The podcast that How Did This Get Made, when they did that episode of Jaws 4, is a million times better. It makes the movie watchable.
I feel like that's pretty much an accurate statement with almost any movie they do.
They're very good. We need that How Did This Get Made sponsorship.
Yes. I just want to hear Jason Mantzoukas or Jude yell, I hope you suffer and be in. I'll pay for that. Be the only time I'll sponsor anything.
You know how people ask like weird things from Paul on like the mini-sodes?
Yeah.
Like, oh, give me a shout out for my wedding. Just be like, oh yeah, he would definitely endorse the podcast that's like talks about movies.
I'm just glad that so far I think we've only had one crossover with them. Like we've only done one movie they've done, which was I think Jason X.
They definitely did a Jason X.
Yeah. I think that's the only one that we've done that they've also done.
Copycats.
Yeah. You know. We should just start doing...
I remember that when they do Tsunami.
Oh, fuck. Tsunami is the worst movie we've done so far. It is incomprehensible how that movie was ever made.
I'm really excited for you to rewatch Dawn of the Dead.
I'm gonna have to look up. I don't know, because I'm not buying it. So if it's
on the streaming service.
Yeah, I will give it a rewatch sometime in the next month.
I can't wait because it is a great movie. In fact, I would venture to guess that it is better than the original.
Ooh, I don't know if I could. I could never back that statement, but I can't say I will still hate it as much as I do. I just minus Watchmen. I don't know if I like anything Zack Snyder has done. I haven't seen Sucker Punch though, but I'm assuming that's just straight up garbage. So
Is it like Donkey Punch?
that would be a much better movie. I'm assuming it's my understanding of Sucker Punch is that it's like essentially a bunch of underage girls escaping into their dreams because they're in like an insane asylum being raped and shit a lot. So it sounds real bad.
I just remember this. I think one of the scenes was that they were on a boat and they got punched. I don't know.
I hope there's a lot of punching if his name's Sucker Punch.
Yeah.
So Seed of Chucky sucked.
I love it. But also, this podcast was created based on Kit and I loving the absolute worst of the worst.
Yeah, I mean, it was entertaining, but it is a bad movie.
Yes.
I mean, it is rated as the least favorite, or like lowest rated amongst this series for a reason.
It's no Bride. Or 1, or 2, or 3.
I don't know if I hate 3 or... Yeah. I don't know if I hate Child's Play 3 or Seed of Chucky more.
I think if I'm looking at it as a... Like... I think 3 is better. This one is more of like a dumb comfort movie for me. So I like it more, but I think 3 is better. But probably just barely.
I mean, Seed of Chucky made more money than Child's Play 3.
Yeah, I mean, there was a pretty big gap between 3 and Bride.
Yeah, what was it? It was Child's Play was 88. Child's Play 2 and 3 came out under a year apart from one another. They were 90 and 91. Bride of Chucky was 98. Seed of Chucky was 04. So there was a 6-year gap. There was a 7-year gap, then a 6-year gap, then a 11-year gap.
Yeah.
Or 13-year gap.
That 13-year gap did them well, at least, because Curse
your
and Cult
gap.
are great.
Well, I do, yeah. Curse and Cult are phenomenal. I still find it. I will say I know it's not Seed of Chucky, but when it comes to Bride of Chucky, I love the fact that the opening montage of that film, if you can remember, it's when that cop is going through the evidence locker to get the bag for Tiffany.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing you see is like a hockey mask and a machete, and then Michael Myers' mask. And they're really trying to sap, like, oh yeah, Chucky's deaf, and there's no Freddy Krueger mask. They're literally trying to position themselves as, the big three: Michael Myers, Jason, and Chucky.
I feel like there was maybe rights issues at that point. Like, I don't know. They'd already done Freddy versus Jason, so I guess they had to have all been under the same umbrella.
Maybe, but I mean, they're allowed, like, before, there were rights issues when Friday the 13th part whatever had the
glove.
The Freddy hand at the end. Yeah, when the glove came out, that was not allowed.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, they just did a little ode. I mean, even, what was it? Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, which we were talking about earlier, they literally name drop Freddy, Jason, Michael. Like, they're positioning themselves in the same universe, or at least creating a universe where all of them are real. So yeah, I think to me it was hilarious that, like, they were trying to put Chucky's 3 movies in the same league as Halloween and Friday the 13th.
I bet.
When realistically, it's like number 4 out of, or maybe even number 5. Like, I would put Hellraiser in front.
Yeah, I mean, I would even put, like, maybe Scream up there as well. Like, the Ghostface mask would maybe not as iconic as, like, Chucky, but it'd be up there.
I don't know. By 1998, I would say that you're probably, like, Chucky's definitely iconic, but if you're talking about, like, most recognizable slasher and horror features, what are you talking? Number 1's either, like, 1 and 2 is either Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees. Flip-flop them either way you want. Number 3's gotta be Freddy.
4 would have to be Pinhead.
Yeah, 4 would be, or at least it would be Pinhead, and then I would say 5 would probably be Ghostface.
Yeah. I'd put Leatherface in there too, probably over Pinhead.
I feel like usually if I see, like, somebody does some, like, art collage thing that's like a bunch of, like, the slashers, usually Leatherface is up there with, like, the, it's like Leatherface, Pinhead, Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers are usually, like, the big 5.
That's the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Ghostface is probably more recognizable just as, like, a commercial standpoint than Leatherface, but I feel like Leatherface is usually thrown in there because really, without Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you don't really have any of the rest of them.
Yeah, that's fair, but it's not the originals that count. It's what makes the mark, right?
Yeah, I say, like, I don't think Leatherface is as, like, quote unquote commercially viable as the rest of them, because a lot of those remakes are, like, none of the original ones did great, and then the remakes, I think the first one made money and the rest of them kind of didn't.
Well, yeah, in the top 15 horror grossing franchises of all time, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is not even in there. Friday the 13th, because of volume, not because of, like, quality, it'd be Friday. What's it called? Yeah, it would be Friday the 13th, and then Nightmare on Elm Street, then Scream, then Halloween. Yeah. And the others aren't even in the tops.
Are you looking at a list right now?
I just have a weird mind.
Oh, I just didn't know. I wondered if Saw was still the top grossing.
I almost definitely. It might be the Conjuring series.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if like that Conjuring series had taken over it by now. So we usually will end this, like, the podcast with like a recommendation. Like, we each recommend something, because we usually just trash most of these movies pretty hard, so we like to go out on somewhat positive. Usually, like, it'll be like a band, podcast, a movie, just whatever, something we're all like either of us are into at the moment. Do you two have anything you want to just recommend to listeners to check out?
Honestly, I'm just listening to the same old dance playlist that I put on.
Listen to Vic's dance playlist.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Vic's answer is Boy Harsher and Drab Majesty. Check them out.
Oh God. I wouldn't recommend them, because I feel like I obviously I would recommend them. I just feel like I want to recommend something that needs more exposure.
You don't.
I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kit and I will go, and then if you have something, if you want to think about it for a minute.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
So go ahead, Kit, if you have something.
Oh, okay. I'm on the spot.
All right, fine. So
I'm gonna say Orville Peck, because I just discovered him and his album like 2 days ago, and I've been super obsessed. It's like shoegazy, dream pop-ish country, and he's got a super awesome aesthetic. It's a
gay Canadian cowboy.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's a great album.
Yeah.
Mine goes along with this movie. I'm going to recommend the book Carsick by John Waters. That's a good recommendation. Yeah, especially if you can get the audio book of it where he reads it. It is a book that he wrote that's 3 parts about him hitchhiking across America, where the first part is a dream good scenarios, and then the second part is the bad dream scenarios, and then the third part is what actually happened when he hitchhiked across America. It is a very, very good book, and especially if you can listen to him read it, it's even better.
Those are both really good recommendations. I was just reading a comic. I revisited it. It's called Pretty Deadly. It's an Image title. It's kind of like a esoteric Western. It's really cool. It's one of my favorite titles. So I suggest, if people are into comics, Pretty Deadly Volume 1 and 2 are out. I don't know if they're going to do any more, but yeah, go for it.
Nice.
And I will recommend 2 things. One is something to consume, and one is an action. To consume, the remake of the movie Dawn of the Dead. The superior Dawn of the Dead. That's my recommendation.
Just remember, I edit this.
Yep, that's fine. That's fine. And my action is, I recommend you pet the closest animal to you, because it's very great and scientifically proven to make you feel better and to make your bones stronger, technically. So
literally
go pet an animal. And a second part of that is go punch a Nazi. It's also recommended to make you feel better and also make your bones stronger. So pet an animal, punch a Nazi, watch Dawn of the Dead.
Hard agree.
Should be a shirt.
There you go.
Keep calm and
punch Nazis on.
That would be and watch Dawn of the Dead.
And small text under watch the Dawn of the Dead.
Let's picture like the Next Vile Creature shirt just having all of this text on the back of it. That's just all that.
I think we've gone. I mean, it makes sense, like going downhill and everything as a band.
We've really jumped We've really jumped the Shark Attack 3 Megalodon here.
Yeah, I feel like our next album should really be a homage to space shark horror movies.
I'm not listening to
Only
it.
2 people would be into that, and their names would be Kit and Nathan.
Like, oh man, did you check out that sick ghost shark reference in there?
So
The
good.
greatest concept album of all time.
I love alienating our listeners.
So, like I said, next week will be post-apocalyptic commando sharks. I have no idea what this movie is about. I refuse to look into it before I watch it. That title alone,
They
Super
better
into
have no underwear on.
like, Kit sent me the list, and I was like, that title alone, we should do that movie. And he sent me a screenshot of a shark that looks like it's made out of paper mache. So I'm absolutely in.
That sounds like fun.
We currently have 2 bonus episodes on Bandcamp for proceeds going to Yellowhammer right now. Kazam and Chairman of the Board, the fucking Carrot Top movie. That was possibly the worst thing I've ever watched.
Are you talking to us or are you reading copy?
I'm just
'Cause if
kind
you're
of-
reading copy. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. If you're talking to us, oh my god, I'm so sorry.
I'm just kind of winding this down. Yeah, but we watched
My
we
God.
watched the fucking Carrot Top movie for a podcast, and it is as bad as you would think it is.
That's basically a Saw movie.
It's
There's so much more torture involved with the Carrot Top one,
God,
somehow.
it is a movie that I watched twice and I never want to fucking think about again. Do you 2 want to throw out like where people can follow you?
You can do that.
I was
You can't follow us. We're ghosts.
They just deleted all of their social media, so they're gone.
We exist in a bubble of our own haze.
Yeah, just look them up on Bandcamp.
Yeah,
That's
you
the
can find
important
us at things.
Yeah.
You can follow us at real Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, I knew I was following the right account. This podcast is on Twitter at IOBSuffer and Instagram at IOBSuffer Podcast. I deleted all of Facebook because fuck Facebook. So we're not on there anymore. Yeah, thanks for being on here, Vic and KW.
Yeah, thank you. Thank y'all so much.
That was fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting me jump in.
No problem. That was fun.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for mansplaining horror films.
Just so you know, Vic was talking to me and not both of you.
I mean, either way.
So, firstly, not talking to you. Secondly, you're welcome.
Yeah, I asked you to be part of it because I know you're a man, and your opinions matter more than me.
Good. As long as we're on the same page where you know that my opinion counts for more, then we're good.
Cool.
Yep. Perfect note to go out on. I hope you suffer. Bye-bye.
Okay, I'm gonna leave because I have a lot of touring to do that I need to do because I'm a non-binary person and that's what I have to do.
Oh my god. Getting really
Okay, you
deep here.
could just cut it.
Yeah.
You could just cut it
Jesus
before I said that. You could just cut that before I said that,
Perfect.
please.
All right. I hope you suffer.
My
Bye-bye.
fuck.